How do you stay original? How do you stay unique?
One of the biggest motivators for me is when a homeowner says exactly that. I didn't even think about that, and that looks awesome. Over 100 pools that we design a year. And their job is to be honest and let us know, hey, I hate that. There's no reason we can't use all of this pool.
Man, when somebody looks at that and goes, oh, wow.
Not every pool has to be a piece of art, but when it can be a piece of art, I'm gonna show up for the homeowner.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of Denali's Deep Dive Podcast today, here with Esteban de la Sancha.
Yes, sir.
One of our very seasoned designers, does a great job. Actually want to talk about design today.
Yes,
I know
sir.
That's what floats your boat, right? It's part of the
Absolutely.
things. One of the things that you love the most is being original and unique in the things that you design for people. So let's talk about that some. I mean, if you had to guess, in a week, in a month, and then extrapolate out to a year, how many pools do you sit down and design for either clients or prospective clients, right?
Yeah.
Folks that you're working with to try and put something one of a kind and custom into their backyard. How many times do you do that a year, you think?
A year is a lot. I mean, typically we're looking at over 100 pools that we design a year.
So that's where I want to go. Like, if you're doing that 100 or 100 plus times a year, how do you keep from falling into the same thing over and over?
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to use some cool things that you've used in the past and see where you can apply them in different spaces and backyards. But how do you stay original? How do you stay unique? And how do you separate yourself from perhaps some of the folks out there that are, let's take it out of this yard and plop it in that yard.
Right.
It's one of the 5 prototypes that they've come up with that are
freeform
easy to move. Yeah, freeform number 2, right? That are easy to move from one house to the next to the next. That I want to talk about staying unique. And
yeah, it's falling into that trap that you mentioned is such an easy thing to do, especially when you don't make the time or effort to really kind of break out of that. And it's like when people say, oh, I don't have time to go to the gym. Oh, I don't have time to learn something new with pools. You make the time for it. You will kind of, let's take a step back and look at the design and say, is this the best that I can do for this? Or is there a different way that I can kind of cut this? And sometimes this was what the homeowner wants, but it's our job to show the homeowners, hey, have you thought about this? Did you think about this? And their job is to be honest and let us know, hey, I hate that, or I didn't think about that. And one of the biggest motivators for me is when a homeowner says exactly that. I didn't even think about that, and that looks awesome.
yeah,
Or like whenever we show them the 3D and they say, whoa, that's awesome. I would have never imagined. And I think that's where our job is. And one of the biggest things for me is kind of just keep the new designs going, is to do some research online on architecture magazines, architecture websites, architects even, and see how they built the house. Is there any way that we can pull some details from the house and utilize that with pools? And a lot of times it won't, but many times you can pull so much design features and ideas from creative architects.
yeah.
But yeah, that falling into that trap is really easy to do. Of hey, homeowner, here's a rectangle, here's a rectangle, here's a rectangle, but add a curve to it. What does that look like? The worst thing that can happen is you add the curve and it looks bad. Take it off.
Yeah.
Add the curve here.
I think there's some not some, but there's a lot of value to designing the new space to match what the architect did. I know you've got kind of some insight of that. You studied architecture for a few years in college. You have maybe a better eye than a lot of folks that are out there looking to design something. What are some of the cool things that you've done in pools that were maybe not off the wall, right? But help kind of break out of that box, right? Yeah, you got some out of the wall ones too. Let's talk about them. What do you got?
So there's a design that I was in love with, and a lot of this comes from designs that I have kind of saved in the reserves. That I'm like, hey, homeowner, do you mind if I show you this thing that I do in my free time? Because I design in my free time. I like to, when a homeowner asks for something, sometimes I'll put a crazy idea in there. Not because they're going to look at it, but so I can save it because it looks really good on that house. And so when I come to a house that has a similar layout, I'll say, hey, what do you think about this? For example, we had a prospective client that I was working with recently that she she emphasized how much she loved seeing the sunset from her backyard. Her backyard went down a hill and there's kind of a ravine down there. So she had a beautiful layout. She had a beautiful view. And she always emphasized, hey, I love when the sun comes down here. It looks awesome. The sunset looks awesome. And what I did was I had gone to one of the gardens here in Austin, one of the sculpture gardens with my wife, and one of the coolest of pieces of art that we saw was if you looked through this feature at the right angle, it looked like a person looking through a glass at the sun. It lined up perfectly and it was awesome. And so things like that, I'll kind of store in
Right.
here and see
Yeah.
why can't we do that on a pool? And so for this homeowner, I had a water feature built up that had kind of a round feature. It looked kind of like a moon, and then it made it so that when the sun set, it went right through that little sea, that little cup, and she loved it. It was beautiful. She absolutely loved it, and I loved it. That's one of the big things is I thought it was really cool, and she could feel that. You know,
Yeah.
I put my heart into it, and she felt that. Another design that I did was a homeowner who similarly had a view of Lake Belton this time. And one of the biggest things is when you have a lake, I'm always thinking vanishing edge. You
Right.
know, I love the idea of the pool looking like it's pouring into the lake behind you, especially when you have that drop off in the back. At the right angle, when you're sitting in a lounging chair, you can look out and it looks like the pool is pouring into the lake. And I always want to try to capture that for homeowners. And so for this one, to level it up another level, I said, what if we have the vanishing edge pool always has a catch basin at the bottom. I said, what if we make that a play pool and have a slide going down the side of it? You know, we have there's no reason we can't use all of this pool. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to just utilize, you know, this corner of the pool, that corner of the pool. And so we built it with a 16-foot slide going down to the catch basin, which is now a play pool.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that that I love to do, and the homeowners can feel that because then we're all pumped, we're excited for it, and when we see it come to life, it's really like not every pool has to be a piece of art, but when it can be a piece of art, I'm gonna show up for the homeowner.
That's cool. I think we all have our own style, right? Like as a designer, when you're looking at something, it's hard not to do the things that you like. Like I'm a big symmetry guy.
Yeah.
I like symmetry, right? And sometimes it's asymmetrical symmetry where things aren't exactly the same, but it reflects.
Mhm.
We do every week we get together as a team, right? And we look at pools that were designed and finished in that week, right? And one popped up on the screen, and I was like, "Man, that's a really cool looking pool." And then I didn't realize until after it was one of mine, right? I
Yeah,
was like, I
yeah.
knew there was a reason I liked that pool.
Yeah.
So I think we find things that we like, we find
Mhm.
flair that we like and that kind of stuff. But at the same time, without getting repetitive, you can do things that you think look cool, designs that can mesh in different backyards and with different houses, but maybe with your own kind of flair.
Right.
What do you think your flair is, Esteban? What do you really like?
Ooh.
Like for me, I never really enjoyed a ton like drawing a big lagoon style
Yeah.
freeform pool. I didn't think it was a whole ton of fun,
Uh,
right? But I would do it and designed and built some really cool ones, but it
mhm.
wasn't what like got me going, right?
Yeah.
So what is your flair? What do you love
Ooh.
to look at and design?
So my flair, I would say, is probably elevations.
Okay.
Having multi-tiered pools, what you can do with the pool, with
Oh
decking, with
gosh.
raised bond beams,
Yep.
it adds so much layers to the pool. Kind of to what we were talking about earlier, that rectangle. You know, it's no elevations, it's flat. It's kind of flat. You know, and adding even one tier of decking of raised bond beam of water feature, it changes it so much more, and it's pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
Whenever you add layers to it, you know, different elevations, step the homeowner down, step the homeowner up. You know, we step them up, suddenly that's a wall for water feature. You know, things come together, and so I'd say elevation changes and different layers is probably my bread and butter to
Yeah.
show homeowners. It never fails to show somebody a raised bond beam or a drop down bar top. You know, the pool has the elevation change where it drops down to a you can sit up and as double use. It's the pool wall on one side. On the other side, you can kind of pull a chair up.
Yeah, some people I've heard them say, "Man, elevation. Oh, there's so much drop in this backyard." And I see that and I'm like, "Oh man, the door is wide open, right?
Exactly.
You got levels on levels on levels
Hmm.
that you can build when you've got some
Right.
elevation to work with in the backyard. And even if you don't have elevation, there's things that you can do to build it
Hmm.
into a project, right?
Absolutely.
elevated decking areas, then you have jumping ledges and water
Mhm.
features and all kinds of stuff. I
Yeah.
like that too. I like working with elevation
Right.
a lot. You're an architectural guy, don't you? Like go to the library and stuff,
I do, yeah, so, on the
read
weekends,
books.
they up over in my town, they just opened a new library, so my wife and I, we'll go check it out, and it's got a really easy system, every library does, look up a book, and so I thought, pool design, and unfortunately, the pool design books are from before the
Forever ago.
'90s,
Yeah,
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 so
yeah.
the designs don't carry over, but some do. It's good to retro stuff and bring it back, and, there's always opportunity to learn, but I'll check out architecture books, I go to museums. Whenever I'm on the road, I do honestly do keep an eye out for, is there anything cool, anything look cool? It could be at a hotel. They'll have, okay, it's a simple hotel. You walk in, you check in, but what if you looked over and in their garden, they have a really cool planter box that you can show a homeowner, something creative that somebody else thought of that you're like, man, that's a great idea.
Always having your eye out for design stuff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that helps a ton. As a construction guy, I've been in the industry for a long, long time. I have found myself over 20 years, I can't go in a place, right? I can't go, like you said, a hotel or a house or a restaurant. I can't go in somebody's backyard without looking at it through that eye,
Right.
right? Like, oh man, what did they do back here that could be better? What did they do out here that's super cool
Hmm.
that I could integrate into what we do. I think that
Hmm.
that eye is super important, right?
Right.
If if you're going to be a designer, right?
Yeah.
Be designing all the time.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, it's part of our duty is to kind of stay up to date with trends and show homeowners, hey, I heard what you said. I read between the lines. I think you'll like this thing. As a professionals, it's I think it's our job to kind of show the homeowners everything, things that they didn't think of.
So have you had the experience where you know for certain that your design is what absolutely set you apart and the homeowner was like, "Oh, there was four people in my backyard. Nobody came close. 100%. We want to go with you
Mhm.
because you're different."
All the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
all the time because and what tells me is when I get to the homeowner and he's describing just a rectangle, I'll think, okay, nobody's talking about to
Who
him about
conditioned
any,
him for
yeah,
that, right?
nobody's because what they're gonna do, the regular person is gonna say, oh, they asked for a rectangle. Here's a rectangle. What I hear is, okay, I always show homeowners at least two designs. One I call straight from notes to design. Hey, this is what you asked for. What do you think about this? I listened to you. I heard you mention that the traffic down the street it's annoying and it kills you. You didn't mention water feature, but here's a water feature. We cut it out a little bit, jet it out a little bit, add some character to the pool, raise the water feature wall, and now you have something to not only cool the pool, but to kind of act as a buffer for that noise. And people love that. They notice that. They say, I didn't even think about that. And so usually when I get to the homeowner and they mention, you can tell when a homeowner hasn't been taught anything by the people they've already been speaking to.
Yeah.
And so when I come in, I have so much to share with the homeowner. I'll say, I can tell nobody's shown you anything else other than this guy here. So what do you think about
Let's
this?
do something different.
Mhm,
That's cool, man. I know for me that was important too. I mean, I always wanted folks to like me, right?
mhm.
I still want people to like me. I really enjoy making relationships to people, but when you come in with a design, you sit down, you look at it in the big screen, and earlier you mentioned, man, when somebody looks at that and goes, "Oh wow,"
Mhm,
when you get that wow factor, you know you've done your homework
mhm.
and you've done something that they haven't seen yet. That's the best,
Right,
right?
right.
When you get the oh wow, and I think that takes a lot of work.
Mhm,
It takes work when you're sitting down to design the pool for sure, and you're sitting in front of your computer and you're pouring over notes and you're thinking about things you've done in the past and you're taking that homeowner's input to try and give them something that they love. But you draw on all those experiences in the past, right? From looking around when you walk in
right.
that hotel, when you see that cool planter bed,
Mhm.
when you go online and watch hours and
Yep,
hours and hours of pool designs
yep.
on YouTube. Ask me how I know, right? Those
Exactly.
kind of things that they just help you sharpen your skill and not
Mm,
fall into that trap of all right, homeowner who may not know that much about
mhm.
what they can do in their backyard told me
Exactly.
it's kind of roughly what I'm looking for, but you come in with something that is yes, what they asked for, but over and above,
Mhm.
right? When you do your homework and really do work to design can just blow people's socks off.
Absolutely, absolutely. 100%.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate all your hard work and
Absolutely.
staying in it,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Staying in the design to set yourself and quite honestly set Denali apart, right?
Mhm.
I don't know that I was just the pool you were talking about
Uh,
up in Belton, right? With
yeah,
and that one's got a vanishing edge all the way
all the
around,
way
right?
around.
The water, meaning that the water is at the same level as the coping and the
Mhm.
decking, right? And then it falls off to another pool in the back. I
Mhm.
was actually looking at our website and there's a video rolling of that pool. And I was like, man, that's a
Beautiful.
sweet
Yeah.
design right there.
It's
So
slick. It's beautiful.
appreciate all your hard work and thanks for being with us today, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. Please follow us on all socials. You can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.